Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Alex Woburn titled Magic Is This. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen on YouTube. We're going to be listening through it from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go, what do we got?
You text, I'm jumping for my phone. When we speak,
Okay, I see that chord progression, I hear it.
No joke, I'm like an astronaut, but I can't float. Dreaming about you.
That is a dreamlike sort of sound to the tony atmosphere of it. There's guitars and vocal parts.
Just stop being feared, no I can't take the way I know you taste like the best milkshake. What kind of magic is this?
Okay. So we're seriously enamored with someone. There's some attraction going on here. I dig it. I dig it. I like the guitars here, how gentle they are, not just with the strumming of them in the sides, but also in like the little builds in the later half of that verse part with the palm muted stuff that was being had as volume automated. It was dope. Works really well with the vocals.
You got me on the floor when you pull up outside. I'm running to the door. What kind of magic is this? My clients are in the hole. What kind of magic? What kind of magic is this?
Okay, we got that kind of synthy plucked kind of vibe. There is a main melody alongside the bass and the interesting sounding kit. It's a really subtle sounding drum kit. I think there's been a filtering going on to get rid of any harsh frequencies, and it makes a lot more room for Alex in the arrangement.
Say my name, I jump on your lap. This lust is getting out of hand. Swear you're the best I've ever had. We stay in bed for days in a love haze. Movie star looks, you are my star.
I like how we have the return of that bass sequencer that we had in the hook section there to kind of tie things together.
Songs about you on guitar.
Some interesting vocal intervals there in that harmony, like fourths or something like that, or sixths.
I'm so high. What kind of magic is this? You got me on the floor when you pull up outside. I'm running to the door. What kind of magic is this? My clients are in the hole. What kind of magic? What kind of magic is this?
I do like that interesting sort of build up there with the drums there, the snares, the rolls, etc. I think that's really charming. It does sound like a lot of those traditional builds that we have within the kind of pop and sort of electronic stuff over the last decade or so. You know, it makes sense for the style and the genre. I like that we have an unusual texture to that lead line there. It's a unique sort of voicing to it. A bit of phasing or filtering on it.
What kind of magic is this?
I see where we're going with that. Okay, so a little bit more like aggression or power with the bass and the drum parts now. Yeah, that drum filtering kicks in here really well. I mean, that was a really solid single. I think it's great. It was easy to tell what was going on. And this is the conclusion of my review of this track titled Magic Is This by Alex Woburn. So what do I think this track is about? I think it's about a person who's, very heavily attracted to someone. And they're eloquently stating all the different feelings and thoughts and the things they want to do with that person and how things are with that person. And I think it's fantastic. It's great to have that kind of storytelling here. I'm sure this is something that a lot of people can relate to. There'll be an audience for this. I think that Alex tells the story really well. It seems like it comes from personal experience, which makes it sound a bit more authentic and genuine. His vocals are solid. We've got nice control of head and chest voice there. There were bits where he became a little bit more sort of like quiet, a little bit sort of more sensual, and those made sense for what we were talking about. So there's definitely an awareness of how to carry ourselves within the track as well. So it's not just a situation where we know sort of like how to make sort of melodies that make sense over a hook line or different harmonies there to kind of make it wider. It's also knowing the persona you want to put forward and adding a little bit of extra personality to it to give it extra sort of bit of zazz. So that's great. Ultimately, I think that it was a really sort of polished, confident performance from a musician that I've reviewed before. I think I reviewed Clown, something like Clowns. It was like a clown song or something like that. But that's okay. I think that it's nice to revisit more of his material. And good stuff. I think that the vocals were handled well. The track itself at 3 minutes 41, it was long enough to carry the story that we needed to, with a few different verses and interlude and a few different hook sections as well, then extended outro course at the end. We didn't really have that much room for instrumental parts, but I don't think we needed that. We were focusing predominantly on having the vocals be the focal point, which is cool. I liked the sound of the guitar parts at the start. I liked that we didn't just throw everything into the arrangement at the listener at once. Having those sort of strummed guitar parts here with a nice bright kind of sheen to them. The chord progression there, ba, 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 ba. That's a fairly sort of traditional, common and popular progression to use in music. And we allowed that to kind of carry throughout all of the track, but we voiced it differently with the guitar parts, the bass parts, and the different drum elements, providing different sort of grooves and all that interpretations there. And an interesting sort of synthy kind of plucked kind of lead melody there, alongside other sort of synthetic elements there that were fantastic. We paid careful attention to layering and implementation and development of the motif there. We allowed room for the vocals to be the main focal point of the mix by not having too many other lead elements aside from that plucked part that was alternating between the vocals and the hook for the most part. And it was great. It was almost like the vocal sections and the hook were like a precursor to what we were doing with that main sort of plucked lead line there, which was the nice catchy sort of way to give us time to sort of envisage what the hook is about. And I think actually, that's great. It was a smart choice, smart songwriting there. Nice range of energy levels there to keep the listener going, even if the loudness doesn't necessarily change. There wasn't a lot of complexity to it, harmonically or in regards to the rhythms necessarily. We had a main sort of eighth or quarter note accent there. We had a few sort of interesting builds with those snare kind of clappy trap kind of beats there, in the secondary hook, but that it's good. You don't need to over egg the pudding, so to speak, and I think we had a nice balance here between the technicality of the piece as well as everything else. And there was some interesting harmonies in the vocals that are either fourths or sixths or something like that, but they made for a sort of mesmerizing sort of hypnotic vibe there. And I just think the eeriness and the reverb tails that we had on some of those vocal parts as well, though it's more of a production thing, I suppose, but that eeriness there was really pleasant to listen to. We had a sensational sort of setup where we really just wanted to make it seem like we were in space, and we nailed that aesthetic really well. Or not necessarily be in space, but be in a space where those feelings are flooding us and overwhelming us and making us feel like we're dreaming, That's basically, that magical kind of touch. But yeah, the recording, mixing, mastering, the production as well was sensational. I'm really happy with how we treated the various instruments there. The vocals were crisp and clear and easy to understand. And whether it was the harmonies on the side or the main vocals in the center, you could always tell what was going on. There was no tuning on the voice there. The guy just had great pipes, and that's cool. The guitar parts were nicely recorded and panned there as well, nice and bright without any over resonances in the 4 to 6 kilohertz that would have kind of killed the vibe a little bit. The bass was relatively subtle and worked well alongside the drums, which I really enjoy there. The drums were, I think, a little bit filtered, like to remove some of those higher edges just to kind of make more room for the vocals, which makes more sense, you know, notching different frequency spectrums to allow for a better balance of overall frequencies in the spectrum there. You know, and then the plucked part as well was the sort of the main lead part was something that went alternate to the vocals. So, you know, they occupied a similar frequency range to a certain extent. And it was good that we took turns with that because of that. Otherwise, we might have had some weird sort of arguments between the two. It was nice to wind the frequency spectrum with lots going around there as well. A little bit of like automation, like the volume and stuff like that with the padding of like that palm muted kind of arpeggiated power chords on the guitar as well there in the intro section there. It was sparkly and dazzling and interesting use of delay and reverb change and stuff to, again, and just kind of make the person kind of think that it's all magical and that kind of stuff. And just ultimately, like, it was beautiful, man. It's a really beautiful track. We had everything that we needed to out of this, and I think that we're in a really good space here with this. I'm really happy with this, the mixing mastering as well. It's nice and loud with that pumping. There was dynamic range to it, but it did sound like a commercially sort of mastered track as well that's ready for radio. This is my review of Alex Woburn's Magic Is This. And apparently this is the first single off of an upcoming album, so that's really exciting. Hopefully 2023 really goes well for Alex. But if you enjoyed this track, please do go check out his various social medias and his YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.